Today I want today I want to discuss another game of which origin is Mass Effect series. It will be the Expanse Osiris Reborn. Very difficult title to pronounce and to say, and for me the title is the issue. Why is the issue? Because I think because we have similar game Exodus also with gameplay a few days ago shown, and today and a couple days ago we also could see the Expanse Osiris Reborn crew members and also some dialogues and gameplay. And the Expanse Osiris Reborn is first of all, it's too difficult title to pronounce. You should never do a game which is called the, because it's a very formal part of English, meaning that something is very concrete, very specific. So games with this, I don't know how to call it professionally, but with this "the" is few, and the pronunciation and talking about something which starts at "the," like we have a film "The Predator." It's one of the worst of all predators, but it is called "The Predator," this concrete predator. So the title should be much shorter than the Expanse Osiris Reborn. And why this title, very bombastic, Osiris Reborn? Game has also the bombastic title Exodus. I don't know why. Exodus is from the Bible, and it is the first. It is the second book of Torah, of the oldest part of the Bible. And Osiris is the god of Egypt, and it is about reincarnation. He was killed by his brother Seth, then later resurrected in a way. So it is a little bit like the history of Jesus Christ later in Christianity. But why this I don't want to call them pathetic titles, but in a way they are pathetic, because the title should be short and concrete. And we are not talking about theology, we are not talking about philosophy, we are talking about computer games, the entertainment. So, for example, this beautiful series Mass Effect, it didn't have such bombastic titles like Reaper Invasion or something like that, or Reaper Genocide. Simple title Mass Effect, and later in the game we could see that the game is really beautiful, very complicated, and really grounded. So the title of this game is very unfriendly and very hard to pronounce and to even remember that something, the Expanse. Second thing is that all of these games want now, these two games specifically want to copy Mass Effect ideas, but I see that that they are very generic, because for example in the Expanse we heard the dialogues, and we were presented to the crew of our spaceship. And first of all, why all of our crew is only humans? For example, Mass Effect was very famous because the galaxy which humans started and lived was inhabited by more advanced and older ancient races, more powerful than human civilization. And each of those races, you can, for example, read in the Codex, has unique story, has a unique and also unique character. For example, not all races are beautiful. Not races are slim and sexy, like for example in this Osiris title, when each of our crew member is really very beautiful. In in the Mass Effect series, most of the races are humanoid. But for example, we have humanoid races like Volus, very advanced civilization in economy. They created the interstellar processes of economical entrepreneur adventure between different races. And for example, they are very short, very fat, and they need to wear ugly pressure suits because their home world is a very specific, and they need to wear them in other areas of the galaxy. And they are breathing like very loudly, like like they have asthma or something like that, or troubles with breathing. The same goes to Quarian, which are more slimmer than Volus, but still they need to wear. They are a little bit, let's say, pleasing look, but still they need to wear these pressure suits. For example, we have Elcor, more like elephant rhino race, which is rather ugly, but it has unique aspect of saying what they are talking about and how they feel about what they are talking to you, because they have very small eyes, and their body language is unfamiliar to other races, so they always explain, for example, in what emotion they are talking to you right now. It was very unique for me when I first was playing a Mass Effect, first Mass Effect game, and I saw that all these races, they were, for example, Hanar. They are completely not humanoid race. They are like some jelly being, some jelly entity, but they are quite intelligent, and they have like voices which are talking with echo sounds. Really unique look, really unique posture, really unique way of saying things. For example, Turians were like aliens a little bit. They have heads like aliens from the alien universe. Asari are very beautiful women, sexy, advanced. And really, for example, Asari was the first race which I saw, oh my god, what a beautiful humanoid race. They created these characters. They look really slim, really beautiful, but really unique. And when we see, for example, the crew of those series, because we didn't saw any race in Exodus and in the Expanse Osiris, we didn't saw any specific different races of our enemies, for example. And for me, it's a very lazy job. That, for example, our crew in Osiris, okay, we have like a little bit of multiculturalism of human origins. For example, we have a medic which is an Asian. We have we have a engineer like type of thing, which is a woman of black woman. We have also an Arab guy, which is a narrator to this game. So they have like unique cultures, okay, but I want to see different races, because this is specific. We have very few on the market sci-fi RPG games, which are far in the future, when we are only one of the races of the universe. So maybe they are because it's about a year before Osiris and this second game Exodus will be released, but I'm afraid that they and the characters look really generic. They are okay, they are slim, they are good looking and so on, but for example, when we have a Mass Effect crew in first Mass Effect, so for example, Rex as a not Turian, but I forgot his race. But Rex as a different species than humans looked completely different. Big, very huge, and unique face, a little bit like a big frog. For example, Garus, like a Turian, looked like a little bit of a version of alien creature. So all of them, for example, in second we have Drell. In Mass Effect 2 we have Assassin Drell, and they really look unique to this and believable. They look unique, very specific, very badass, but also unique to the universe. For example, we don't have a Vorcha companion, but they are really ugly, really loud, and also very specific and unique in character. So all those races, and for example, in the last Mass Effect, we can finally recruit a Prothean, an original Prothean, the last probably living, which is far from the time of 50,000 years ago when Protheans were fighting with the Reapers. Really unique style. Jarvik, his voice like an African or Jamaican warlord, really unique. And for example, Edie, which looks like a cyborg, silver robot. So their characters and their voice actors look really believable to be living characters. For example, we have here a liaison officer, which is surely copied after Miranda Lawson from Mass Effect 2, but this character looks like a worse copy of Miranda. Okay, she has like filled lips with Botox, very slim. I would say a little bit too slim, a little bit too sexy, but nevertheless they look really generic. Like I would play Apex Legend or something like that, and all those games, they look like Mass Effect Andromeda, and Mass Effect Andromeda was a flop for BioWare because they have changed the engine on Frostbite, and Frostbite is not an engine to an RPG games. It is engine to use on FPS shooters. And of course Mass Effect is a little bit a shooter, but only a specific shooter, but rather more like Gears of War, but with far more advanced dialogue options, choices which matter, because Mass Effect, for example, was famous of choices which you make in Mass Effect 1, they have consequences in Mass Effect 2 and specifically in Mass Effect 3. And some of these choices are rather grave. So I would say that when I was looking on this gameplay, on this narration of showing us the scope of mission and even our opponents, they were all very banal. They were all very simple. For example, the history of Mass Effect trilogy is spanning through 3 long different games. And it is an epic journey. We have this feeling, we have the feeling when we are playing Mass Effect series that this is a unique story. Very specific and very rare. The demise, the destruction of whole galaxy with the opponent which we cannot surely know how to defeat them. And the universe is really believable. For example, we will have a TV show from the creator of Fast and Furious of Mass Effect. So we see that some games, like for example Witcher, like for example Fallout, they have the chance to be on the screen because they are not infantile. They are very grounded, very serious and believable, because all those races of Mass Effect, and we have, for example, like Batarians, Vorcha, they have also very specific animals there. They are unique in style, beautiful in style, specific in style, but believable. That's why Andromeda have lost, because all those races, even the Geth, not Geths like in Mass Effect, but like Cat. They were called like Cat or something like that. And all those races in Andromeda, they were really ugly. They looked really clunky, and but more important than that, they were not believable to exist. For example, in Mass Effect 1, we have the Council, and in the Council are three the most advanced races in the galaxy. First, Asari discovered the seat of the council, the citadel. Then then they were. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the races from my beloved game. Then there was a second race, very like reptile, very intelligent creatures, and then a third race were the Turians, and those races were much more advanced than other races, but their history, why for example Asari are monogender, and they all look like they were only, even though they are monogender, they all look like young to middle-aged females. All of them looked like that. Why, for example, Turians have like Roman names from Roman Empire, and why their government is called hierarchy? What is a genophage? And why it was occurred in our galaxy? Why the Quarians didn't have their homeworld? Why they have created the Geth? It's really amazing how all those races are really specific and believable, and you want to know and see more of them. And in Andromeda, with this new engine, only the fight was okay. It wasn't okay, it was not even okay, it was good. But other than that, everything else was so clunky, so not feasible to do, that the game was boring. I have played like I have finished all trilogy of Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 maybe 3 to 4 times, and I have played in Andromeda maybe for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours max. It is completely not playable game because of the for example of the engine, and focusing more on the action than role playing style of the game. And in Mass Effect 1 it was really unique that each aspect was unique, but each aspect was very good to excellent. Was very good to excellent. And now in Osiris, okay, the graphic looks good. Yes, the graphic looks good, but it looks like we are almost playing Apex Legend, or like we are playing a little bit of Andromeda Anthem style game. Because Exodus didn't show us the dialogues, and the Osiris show us rather generic dialogues, which are very banal, very simple, simple in a negative way. And I'm not sure why these very bombastic titles, like for example, the last Alien of Ridley Scott was Alien Covenant. What has in similarity alien race and covenant, which is term from the Bible, because it's a covenant. It's a covenant between Israelis, ancient Israelis, and the God. What are the and the last Alien movie, I didn't watch it, but the title is also worrying, Alien Romulus, after Romulus, Remus, the founders of Rome. I'm not sure why those really like theological, philosophical titles to rather simple action adventure games or movies. So I'm really worried that they only have chosen this action theme, and they want to sell us that this is a fully RPG original role-playing game. I'm really worried that this aspect will be far more important for them than, for example, interesting characters, interesting choices, different adventures, the style of being good shepherd or evil shepherd. it's really for me difficult to see if these games can really be at least half as good as original Mass Effect trilogy. And I'm really worried because I see that these characters from Osiris, they are really generic like. And they are completely not charismatic. Okay, so today this is all for me. Let me know in the comments what do you want to say about Osiris.